you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Secretary. For your benefit and mine, I'm going to ask you to encapsulate your answers within 30 seconds. If you could, we can cover more ground. A few months ago, the chairwoman of the Federal Reserve was with us, and she was asked what, if anything, the community banks and credit unions defined as less than $10 billion in assets did wrong in 2008, and she said nothing. Do you agree with that?
I do.
Would you support a bill that would eliminate community banks and credit unions defined as less than $10 billion in assets from supervision under Dodd-Frank?
That is likely going to be one of the recommendations that we make when we come out with the report.
Because if you do that, it's not as if the community institutions aren't going to still be regulated. Is that not accurate?
That is correct. They would be regulated by their primary regulator, which would make sense.
Okay. Do we still have financial institutions in America that are too big to fail?
I do not believe that anything is too big to fail. Some of them may be too big to succeed.
Do we still have financial institutions in America that are so big that if they did fail, it would have a substantial, reprehensible, if you will, impact on the American economy?
It could.
Okay. Do you think Dodd-Frank has eliminated that risk?
Again, I would just make the comment that it's very fact-specific as opposed to being hypothetical.
Okay. If those financial institutions that I just referenced had more capital, would that help them?
I believe right now that the large financial institutions actually have plenty of capital.
But if they had more, it'd make them safer, wouldn't it?
Well, more is obviously always better than less, but the question is, if more is stopping them from lending, that's concerning.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My question is not meant to suggest my thinking about this. I honestly want your opinion. What do you think about Glass-Steagall?
Glass-Steagall, we do not support a separation of banks from investment banks. We think that that would have a very significant problem on the financial markets, on the economy, on liquidity, and we think that there is proper things that potentially we could look at around regulation, but we do not support a separation of banks and investment banks.
Okay. Why is our productivity growth so low, in your opinion, in our economy?
I think that's a complicated question that was going to take a lot more than 30
seconds. You've got a full 30
but
seconds.
I'll be happy to come back and talk to you about it.
Could you just give me the Cliff's Notes version?
I think it's a multi-factor issue. It's a combination of regulatory issues. It's a combination of job training issues. It's a combination of tax issues. I think it's a lot of issues that's leading to lower productivity.
Now, if we could increase productivity growth from 1% to what I think is normal 2%, wages ought to go up, right?
That's true, and we would create huge growth in GDP.
Okay. Once again, this is a question, not a suggestion. Do you think it's possible to do legislation to incent businesses to do more profit sharing so that it's a win-win? The idea being that it would increase profits for the entity as well as incent workers to work harder and therefore make them more productive and make their wages go up.
I think there's been very successful scenarios of companies with profit sharing, but I support leaving that to private industry to decide what's best. I don't support legislation for that.
Okay. I've got 30 seconds. Could you tell me why GDP growth is so anemic?
I listen to a lot of economists tell me why we're in a secular situation and give me all the reasons. I've repeatedly said that may be the case, but we're going to do everything. I think fundamentally we need to grow GDP, and our focus is a combination of tax reform, regulatory relief, and renegotiating trade agreements that will create sustained economic growth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.